It's 2 a.m. The conversation ended hours ago, but you're still in it, running the same exchange on loop, rewinding to the exact moment something was said, replaying your response, wondering if you should have said something different, something sharper, something kinder, something that would have landed the way you actually meant it. Nobody else is thinking about it. The other person has probably moved on completely, but your brain hasn't filed it away. It's treating it like unfinished business, and it will keep treating it that way until it gets what it's actually looking for. Here's what most people assume is happening. They think it's overthinking. They tell themselves to just let it go. Stop being so sensitive. Stop caring so much about what other people think. They treat the replay like a personal flaw, some sign that they're too anxious, too self-conscious, too deep in their own head. But that's not what's happening. Not even close. Your brain isn't replaying that conversation because something is wrong with you. It's replaying it because something very specific is missing. And until that thing appears, the loop will keep running. That's not weakness. That's your brain doing exactly what it was built to do. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. In the 1920s, a Soviet researcher named Zeigarnik discovered something fascinating. The brain holds on to incomplete tasks far more tenaciously than completed ones. It obsesses over open loops. It cannot comfortably move on from something it perceives as unresolved. Think about how this works with tasks. If you're halfway through writing something and get interrupted, that half-finished document will nag at you until you return to it. The brain keeps it active in working memory, a kind of mental background tab that quietly drains your attention until the task is closed. Conversations work the exact same way. But here's where it gets really interesting. The brain doesn't define a conversation as finished just because it ended. It defines a conversation as finished when the emotional need that drove it has been resolved. Maybe you needed to be understood, and you weren't. Maybe you wanted to say something true and held back at the last second. Maybe something was said to you that felt unfair, and you never got to respond the way you actually wanted to. The conversation ended externally, but internally, the loop is still open. And here's the part most people never connect. The specific moment your brain keeps returning to is not random. It's always the moment of maximum unresolved tension. The exact exchange where something important was left hanging. Your brain is not torturing you. It's pointing. It's flagging the precise location of the thing it needs you to process. But what does processing actually mean? This is where it gets practical. Most people try to resolve the loop by solving the external problem. They draft texts they never send. They imagine conversations where they finally say the perfect thing. They rehearse responses to arguments that are already over. They're trying to close the loop by changing the past, which is impossible, and so the loop stays open. The brain doesn't actually need the external situation to resolve. It needs the internal emotional response to complete. It needs you to acknowledge what you actually felt in that moment, not what you think you should have felt, not the version where you were completely calm and rational. The real thing, the thing underneath. Because most replays aren't really about the other person at all. They're about something the conversation exposed in you. A fear that you're not respected. A belief that you're not understood. An old pattern that got activated by something that was said. The conversation was just the surface. The replay is your brain trying to get you to look at what's underneath it. Research on rumination shows us something important here. People who engage with their replays, who ask themselves what the loop is actually pointing toward, resolve them significantly faster than people who try to suppress them or distract themselves away from them. Fighting the replay tells the brain the loop is still dangerous. Engaging with it gives the brain what it needs to finally close it. There's also another layer that almost nobody talks about. Some replays aren't about emotional resolution at all. They're about identity. When a conversation challenges how you see yourself, when someone says something that doesn't match your internal story about who you are, your brain runs it on loop, trying to reconcile the conflict. It's not just processing an event. It's trying to figure out what the event means about you. This is why the most stubborn replays are almost always connected to your deepest beliefs about your own worth. A throwaway comment from someone who doesn't matter can loop for days if it lands on an existing wound. A serious confrontation with someone you respect can disappear quickly if your sense of self is solid enough to absorb it without fracturing. The replay isn't measuring the importance of the conversation. It's measuring the size of the gap between what was said and what you needed to hear. So the next time your brain returns to that conversation at 2 a.m., don't fight it. Don't tell yourself to stop. Ask it what it's pointing at. What emotion is sitting underneath that specific moment it keeps returning to? What did you need in that exchange that you didn't get? The loop closes when the question underneath it gets answered. Not out loud, Not to the other person. Just honestly. Just to yourself. Your brain isn't broken. It's been waiting for you to listen.